Has anybody seen the movie Whiplash? Show of hands. It features a young drummer who's chasing excellence. And it details his life. And what you're going to see in this first clip, he feels like he needs to clear the way for greatness. So that's exactly what he's going to do. And it's going to show him breaking up with his girlfriend.
Well, I don't think that we should be together. And I've thought about it a lot, and this is what's going to happen. Okay, I'm going to keep pursuing what I'm pursuing. And because I'm doing that, it's going to take up more and more of my time, and I'm not going to be able to spend as much time with you. And even when I do spend time with you, I'm going to be thinking about drumming. And I'm going to be thinking about jazz music and my charts and all that. And because of that, you're going to start to resent me. And you're going to tell me to ease up on the drumming, spend more time with you because you're not feeling important. And I'm not going to be able to do that. And really, I'm just going to start to resent you for even asking me to stop drumming. And we're just going to start to hate each other. And it's going to get it's going to be ugly. And so for those reasons, I'd rather just, break it off clean. Because I want to be great.
And you're not.
I want to be one of the greats.
And I would stop you from doing that.
Yeah.
You know I would stop you from doing that. You know that for a fact.
Yes.
And I'd barely see you anyway.
Yeah.
And when I did see you, you treat me like shit because I'm just some girl who doesn't know what she wants. And you have a path, and you're going to be great, and I'm going to be forgotten. And therefore, you won't be able to give me the time of day because you have bigger things to pursue.
That's exactly my point.
What the fuck is wrong with you? You're right, we should not be dating.
So obviously that's a polarizing clip. Just a show of hands, how many of you all can relate to what the drummer is saying? Some? How many cannot? How many thinks he could work on his delivery a little bit? Right? And so I like to start showing this when we begin the conversation about high performance. And one of the first things I do anytime I'm working with a high performer is I have them do a little exercise. And they draw 2 lines on their sheet of paper, and it forms a quadrant. And part 1 of the exercise is the top 2 sections of the quadrant. And we're going to go to the top left section first. The first question I like to ask people who are chasing greatness is, what do you sacrifice to chase greatness? 60-second exercise, they bullet point the answers. Here are some of the most common answers that I see. And as you look at this list, I'd like you to think about yourself. How many, show of hands, can relate to some of the things on this list? Kind of interesting, isn't it? That's why you're here today. So what we do on the top right section of the quadrant is I ask this question. Why do you sacrifice so much? 60-second exercise, they bullet point the answers. Here are some of the most common answers that I see. As you look at those, how many can relate to those answers? Show of hands. So we're all in agreement that we can empathize with this person's answers, right? So here's what I do next. I put those side by side, and we perform a cost-benefit analysis. And we observe this person's choices so we can see what they're willing to sacrifice on the left and why they sacrifice on the right. So if you were going to observe this person's choices, show of hands, how many have a positive viewpoint of this person's choices? Not very many. How many have a negative? One time I did this with a coach. He said, is this supposed to make us feel like shit? The goal is not to make you feel bad. The goal is to bring some awareness around your choices. And I'd like to introduce you to 2 people that have been very influential in my life. One is Mike Holder, who's the athletic director at Oklahoma State University. And the other is a volleyball coach at the University of Florida, Mary Wise. We're going to start with Mike Holder. So Mike was an iconic golf coach, and he's since slid over to the athletic director position. When he was a coach, he won 9 national championships. And that's on top of raising $31 million to build the legendary Karsten Creek Golf Facility at Oklahoma State University. When you talk to Mike about his championships, he will acknowledge that he had some success, but he'll also acknowledge that he left some on the table. And he said he did it because 2 reasons. He took the fun out of it, and they just worked too hard at it. So he blames himself. But that pales in comparison to some of the regrets that he has, and that's why this quote means so much to him.
I heard a great quote yesterday, and I'm an old guy, and it just befuddles me that I hadn't heard this quote before. And the quote goes, "If youth knew, if age could."
I love the quote because if you reflect, there's probably a lot of things that you would do differently. You just didn't have the information to make different choices, right? Now, one of the things that he'll acknowledge is that he was on the wrong channel at the wrong time. And I asked him, what's it like there? This is what he said.
That's a place where the only joy you get is for, the ultimate achievement. And when you get it, it's gone in an instant. And what's left?
Crazy, huh? So I showed him the same scene that I showed you, and I asked him, how do you interact with that? Here's his response. How do you interact with that?
Well, there's a little bit of that applies to me, maybe a lot of it. But I was lucky. I kept my girl around me.
Well, when did you realize there was some of that in you?
Oh, probably when my daughter was 12 or 13 years old. I gave up a lot for success, so probably then.
I remember on a walk you and I had, it deeply impacted me. You said I needed to be great. What does that mean?
I just had a burning desire to be great at something. I wanted to be a great player, but I wasn't, so I was coaching now, and you keep score at that, and the score was everything, so I wanted to be great at that. And I really don't think that I could have accomplished what we accomplished as a golf program had I not probably had a lot of that in me and sacrificed a lot for it. But there was a cost that went along with it, so I recognize that now.
And as you look back at the cost, what do you think?
Probably if without what I know now, you put me back in the same circumstance, I'd repeat a lot of the same.
Which is why this quote means so much to him. But he's at peace. But when he reflects on his past, you can see that he gets misty-eyed because he realized what he gave up to chase greatness.